Hello all. Let's begin with the vulnerabilities of OSI model. In the previous two video lectures, we have seen what the OSI model is and what are the different layer-wise functionalities of all the 7 layers of OSI model. In this video lecture, we'll be seeing what are the difficulties faced by the 7 layers of OSI model, and because of those difficulties, what type of the different attacks the 7 layers can face. To begin with, the bottommost layer is the physical layer. It refers to the physical aspect of networking. The physical layer, the name itself tells you that this particular layer deals with the physical aspects of the networking. In other words, we can say that the infrastructure which is required for the physical setup of the network, that is, the cabling and the infrastructure used for networks to communicate. Layer 1 attacks focuses on disturbing the service in any manner, like denial of service attacks. This is disruption could be caused by physically cutting the cable right through to disturbing wireless signals. There can be different environmental issues at this particular layer, which can be considered as the earthquakes, the smoke, the floods, water, the rise in temperature, the humidity, the dust in the environment, etc. So these are the different types of the difficulties which the physical layer may faces, and because of this there can be the attack which is known as denial of service attack. Second one is the data link layer. Security threats that may occur at this layer are as follows. The ARPs or ARP spoofing. ARP is nothing but the address resolution protocol. Second one is the MAC flooding. Third is the spanning tree attack. All these attacks we will be discussing in the module number 6 in details. Basically, in order to overcome these risks, in order to mitigate these risks, it is imperative network switches to make them hardened. And additional controls may also include the ARP inspections, the address resolution protocol inspections, disabling of unused ports which are not performing any tasks, which are not in use, and we can even enforce effective security on wireless LANs to prevent wireless LAN hopping in the network. Third one is the network layer. The security threats that may occur at this layer are the routing attacks, the IP address spoofing, and the backhaul or the selective forwarding type of the attack. The IP address spoofing, routing attacks, these are all the attacks which are related with the physical addresses of your computer. The IP addresses, if it is spoofed, then easily any intruder can be accessing your data. Any third party can easily get into your systems, they can easily access your data, they can easily attack your data, they can easily breach into the security of your systems, of your network. Routing attack also deals with attacking the routing addresses of the data, wherein the data has been routed to the specified destination. The attack happens, the routing addresses gets changed, and then destination of that respected data also gets changed. So to reduce these type of the attacks, routers should be hardened. The security of the routers should be hardened. Packet filtering controls should be used. The filtering of the packets should be done at the both intervals. Routing information should be controlled. For packet filtering, we can have different types of the softwares for the packet filtering of the packets at both the ends, at the receivers and at the senders end. So to minimize the risks, to minimize the vulnerability at the network layer, these approaches can be made. The transport layer and security threats which can happen at this transport layer are sink flood and Smurf attack. Basically, we all are aware that transport layer utilizes or it commonly utilizes the two protocols, that is TCP protocol and UDP protocol. And these two protocols being utilized by the transport layer to enable the network communications between the two communicating parties. So, both of these protocols do scan the ports, and the protocols which are using the different port scanning methods plays a very important role in avoiding the vulnerabilities which the transport layer faces. So the port scanning method by which to identify which port is vulnerable or which port is open port or which port is open network port and which one is vulnerable to different type of the attack. We can track these activities by using different port scanning methods. Also, implementing effective firewalls and locking down ports only to those required can mitigate risks at this level. So basically, to avoid the vulnerabilities or to avoid the attacks at the transport layer, we have to harden the security for the ports. We have to harden the security of the effective firewall settings so that no one should get into your system very easily. No one should get data of your system very easily, and your systems, your ports should not be made vulnerable to such type of the attacks. Sink flood Smurf attack we will again be discussing in the module number 6. Session layer. The threat which may happen at this layer is session hijacking. Basically, this session hijacking is a security type of an attack which happens on the user's session, which can be an ongoing session also. And common ways of session hijacking are packet sniffing and cross-site scripting. Now, when a session has been established in between the two communicating parties, those two communicating parties do exchange some IDs, and these IDs are then used by both of the communicating parties for encrypting and decrypting the data. So whenever the intruder attacks into your system, what does the intruder do? The intruder hijacks the session by hijacking the ID which is being transferred in between both the communicating parties. And common ways of doing this are packet sniffing and the cross-site scripting. So the vulnerability which is faced by the session layer is losing their IDs to the third party, and that is known as the session hijacking. Presentation layer, and the attack or the threat which may occur at this layer is SSL hijacking. Generally, Superfish uses a protocol called SSL hijacking, and this type of SSL hijacking is done to get users encrypted data. We all are aware that what is the encrypted data? The data which is not in easily understandable format is considered as the encrypted data. As I told you in the session layer, that both the communicating parties, when they are communicating with each other, they do exchange some IDs, and those IDs are then used by those communicating parties for encrypting the data. So hijacking the user's encrypted data means hijacking their IDs also. So here in this case, the attacker would then input code to extract the data from the database also. As the attacker gets the ID of the data, ID of the users, the attacker can easily get into your system's databases, and the attacker can easily extract the data from your systems. And as the application fails to validate this input, the command is run and the data is easily extracted from your databases. For reducing such type of the risks, developers must ensure that best practice development guides are adhered to. That means developers must ensure that they are utilizing best practices for validating their data. They are adhering to the best guidelines provided by the ISO standards to provide the security to their data. Next is the application layer. This application layer has different types of security threats that may occur. It can have a virus, it can have a virus attack, it can have a worm attack, it can have a phishing type of attack, it can have keyloggers, it can have trojans, backdoors, bugs. These are all the different security threats which the application layer faces. Now, we have in general discussed about all the vulnerabilities faced by all different 7 layers of the OSI model. All these vulnerabilities basically leads to the threats which leads to the different types of the attacks. Students, there are 3 different concepts: vulnerability, threat, and attack. All 3 of them have different meaning. Vulnerability leads to a threat which leads to an attack. A vulnerable system is prone to a threat, and because of threat, an attack can happen. So please do have a very clear and significant knowledge of what a vulnerability is, what a threat is, and what an attack is. Thank you.